And everybody, it's one of America's great sporting traditions, one that signals the start of the summer season. And today's 73rd running of the Indianapolis 500 under nearly perfect conditions had all the elements of a great sporting event and terrific theater. Some spectacular crashes, a crowd of nearly 400,000 people. It's the largest live audience in sports, and a finish that was somewhat controversial. Here's Gary Lee in Indianapolis.
Two-time world driving champion Emerson Fittipaldi showed he wanted to set the pace as he took the lead from the outside front row starting position. The first yellow flew as the leaders completed lap 3. Kevin Cogan lost control coming off turn 4 and careened off 3 walls. The cockpit was the only part of the race car intact, but somehow Kevin Cogan climbed out and walked away uninjured. After the long yellow, Fittipaldi again showed his supremacy, and one by one the contenders fell to attrition. Al Unser Sr. suffered a clutch failure. Rick Mears out with a broken engine, and Mario Andretti slowed by a faulty ignition. By the halfway point, it appeared to be a 3-car race between M.O., Michael Andretti, and Al Unser Jr. But Michael Andretti lost his engine while leading on lap 162. The only time Fittipaldi was not in the lead was during his pit stops, but heavy traffic set up their dramatic final laps. Little Al caught M.O. on lap 196, and the two ran that way until they came together in turn 3 on lap 199.
We come out of turn 2, there was traffic ahead of our junior, and he backed off a little bit. He couldn't get the turn 2 as quick as he should, and I come faster than him out of turn 2. I went on the straight, I passed him, and then he started moving back on me, going towards turn 3, and I was on the inside, he was on the outside. We started the corner together. We touched. I nearly spun off, and he spun, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt.
Al climbed out of the wrecked car and walked to the edge of the track to applaud M.O. and give him the thumbs up. Fittipaldi took the checkered flag under the yellow to win his first Indy 500. Al Unser Jr. finished second, with Raul Boesel third. Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt rounded out the top 5. For Sportscenter, I'm Gary Lee.
An emotional Fittipaldi realizes a dream. He wins Indy. Senna breezes to the checkered in Mexico, making it a big day for Brazil. And the heat is on as Darrell moves closer to a cool million. This and more next on Speedweek.
Speedweek is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. And on this edition of Speed Week, we'll recap the biggest racing weekend of the entire year. Then at 8 o'clock, another Thursday Night Thunder. We begin with the Indianapolis 500. Now, some are saying that the race's outcome was determined 2 weeks before on pole day. You see, a driver must start the race on the same tires on which he qualified. And the theory goes that Rick Mears and Al Unser used up their tires in qualifying, while Emerson Fittipaldi did not. Thus, Emerson was able to pull out to an early lead and implement his strategy of forcing everyone else to run his pace. Well, now let's look back at the 73rd running of the world's greatest single-day sporting event, the 1989 Indianapolis 500. It's the day when nearly 500,000 people pour into 559 acres watching 33 men trying to earn a spot in auto racing history. Drivers manage to smile 30 minutes before race time, not giving any indication of nervousness. Dignitaries come each year. The former senator from Indiana, now Vice President Dan Quayle, returned to the fields he used to know. As race time gets closer, drivers turn their thoughts to the task ahead. 500 miles of all-out competition, man and machine, against each other. The start is always scary. So often in the past, someone has gotten over-anxious, but not this time. It was fast and smooth, with outside front row starter Emerson Fittipaldi taking the lead into turn 1. Kevin Cogan is lucky to have survived, let alone escape uninjured from this horrifying crash as he was about to end lap 3. The car finally stops in pit road, and Kevin is anxious to extricate himself from the cockpit. ABC had put a camera at the end of the wall separating the pits from the track. It too was destroyed. How did Kevin climb out uninjured? Because the tub remained intact while the rest of the car took the impact. M.O. was clearly the class of the field early, playing rabbit and trying to leave the dicing for position to others. Passing slower cars was sometimes difficult for those others, often having to use the safety lane, which USAC had warned against but never enforced. Attrition, especially for many favorites, was high. Danny Sullivan lasted only 41 laps before his clutch burned out. The defending car champion had a rough month, a crash and broken arm, and then this. The 86 champ, Bobby Rahal, who carried big hopes for Cosworth, had an engine problem a few laps later. Next to go was Unser Sr., and again the problem was clutch. Then the Penske team's hopes for 3 straight ended when Rick Mears' Chevy engine let go. A Penske-owned car fails to finish the 500 for the first time since 1975. Mario Andretti had electrical problems that put him in the pits for many laps. He'll go on to finish, however, 7 laps down. So with all that, Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, and Unser Jr. were left to decide who would win. Michael was strong after he moved into the top 10 from his 21st starting spot. He was either first, second, or third until lap 163. Watch the car at the scoring pylon. The big puff of smoke tells the story. Late in the race now, and a yellow brings Emo in for a last gulp of fuel. Little Al, now the only other one on the lead lap with him, stays out. Emo stalls the engine. Could this be the end of his winning chances? Finally, the car catches. He comes onto the track ahead of Unser with 1 car separating them. Little Al manages to catch Emo, though, and take the lead. The question is, does Unser have enough fuel to go the distance? It's now lap 198, and neither driver can think of anything but winning Indy. Turn 3, their tires touch. Both are sideways. Emo saves it. Little Al is into the wall. He's not hurt, but will have to wait until next year. After exiting the car, he moves to the track's edge, and as if saluting a hero, gives Fittipaldi the thumbs up. For the 2nd year in a row, the race ends under caution. Emerson Fittipaldi, the 2-time world driving champion, who said earlier this month he now feels like an IndyCar driver, not a Formula One driver, has proven himself among the greats of both.
Beginning of the race, the Marlboro PCA team was well balanced. It was really nice to drive, and as there was more oil, more rub on the track, I started pushing. And the end of the last 2 pit stops, I went back to the set. I qualified the set. I started the race. I put back again. That was set number 7. I called on the radio. I said, I want number 7 back again on the car, and that improved again the performance at the end of the race.
Just before he picked up 2nd place money Monday evening, we talked with Little Al at the victory banquet. Emo was obviously the rabbit. Were you consciously playing it conservative?
Yeah, I was. You know, Emo, he was running so fast, I just thought, if he's going to finish this race, then he deserves it, and he earns it, and his car was able to do that all day long. But it was just so fast that I played conservative, and my big threat was Michael, because me and Michael were running right close together, and I really didn't know how much Michael was using his car, and I figured Emo was using a lot of his.
Monday morning, Emo used his car to pose for the official photographs. After they were taken, we asked Emo to describe his incident with Little Al.
I knew if I could take the inside line down on all, I could get the lead of the race again. And there was a slow car, was another traffic on the outside lane on approaching turn 3, and then all had to go down, and I had my front wheels nearly hitting the grass here on the inside, and I still had my full throttle open, and going here I was nearly going sideways, and when we touched wheels it was just exactly here, and my car went sideways, and our junior lost control and hit the wall. Was a tough moment for both of us, and I was lucky I come out running the car, and you know, lucky for all that he didn't get hurt.
The tremendous amount of sportsmanship that you showed after the accident happened, moving to the white line and giving him the thumbs up, I think that's something that it certainly played on my mind, and I think you made a lot of friends, drivers and fans alike.
Well, you know, it's just, I knew that it was a racing accident because I know Emo, and I know that he wouldn't do anything like that, and you know, it was an accident. And as long as some of these guys, most of these guys, start realizing that accidents do happen when we're racing, and not to get so upset about it, you know, because it is an accident. Now, if there's something done intentionally or something like that, that's a whole different deal. But I knew it was an accident. Emerson was smoked us all day long, and so he deserved the win.
The race's finish is one that will no doubt be talked about for years, but they'll also be talking about its record purse of over $5.5 million. Emerson became the first ever to receive over $1 million, and then came Little Al and Raul Boisel. But look what Gary Bettenhausen made for last place, over $100,000. Now, the Indy cars will be in action again this weekend when the kart schedule resumes at Milwaukee. Last week's Speedweek phone poll asked the question, if you had your choice, which race would you prefer to attend, the Indianapolis 500 or the Charlotte Coca-Cola World 600? Well, the results were somewhat surprising. Charlotte got 68% of the vote, Indianapolis only 32%. Remember, this poll is totally unscientific. And we'll have a new phone poll question coming up later in our show.
Speedweek is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Dodge Cars and Trucks.